Folks, as you can see, as you can tell, we are here surrounded by nostalgia. Nostalgia mania running wild, as it always does, here at Casa de Money in the On the Money Sports Lounge, here today, coming to you live for another edition of On the Money Podcast. I am one half of the Mega Powers, Irrational, and alongside me, as always, in the official On the Money Sports merch hoodie, none other than the commissioner of the On the Money Sports Fantasy Football 2-Quarterback League.
So close.
Draft September 1st. He is the commissioner. It is Oscar O Money Muniz.
Ladies and gentlemen, it feels like I just seen you guys just a couple of days ago when we had our exclusive interview here at the On the Money Sports Lounge with the real hitman, Jose Soto, who is fighting August 16th in Atlantic City for Cage Fury Fighting, which is next Friday. I hope everyone has gotten a chance to see this interview, whether Facebook or YouTube. It is out there now. If you need to know how to get to it, just DM us and we will tell you where to find this video. Just
check it out.
Go into the little search gimmick on YouTube, type in On the Money Sports, search. We will pop up. Click the subscribe button. Go down and look at all our videos. The top video is none other than our exclusive interview that we had this past Saturday, which was more than I ever imagined it could be. It was a great time. Mike D was in the house because you were unavailable to be here.
Appreciate him for stepping in, man.
Edgar was here. And, of course, the main guest was here, and Jose, who gave us a great background on what led to this journey from the high school career, to the amateur circuit, to this, the injury that took place that changed things for him around, that has not hindered him, and the fight that it took to get to Cage Fury, to get the athletic commission to allow him to fight. It was a great time. He was so transparent. It was beyond measure that he's doing this, and he's hoping that everybody catches this and get on before the train passes by, because success is coming for this young man, and it's going to be a fun ride. On the Money Sports is with him throughout this journey. No matter how it goes, we are here.
Absolutely. Dope interview. Shout out to Mike D for being able to step in and be a part of that, a part of something that we kind of is brand new for us. It's something that I know that the MMA heads in the forum truly appreciate. A deep dive into the not just the world of MMA, but into someone's personal testimony and their journey to be able to get to where they are, where now they have the opportunity of a lifetime staring them right in the face. And to be a part of that, to have that conversation, to have him here at the On the Money Sports Lounge, the best place in the world to watch Sunday football, like the energy, you can't beat it, man. You can't beat it. To have, extra On the Money content on that specific week.
Absolutely.
Something a little bit different from the weekly, the rundowns of baseball and basketball and now, football, which is what's primarily going to be taking over the program and moving forward.
We know.
Definitely dope, you know what I mean? To kind of.
A lot of people watch our podcast on Facebook. Rightfully so. But, please venture out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That interview already has the most views of any video that is on YouTube for us. It's a small margin because I'll compare. I'll tell you, 31 views on YouTube's big for us. But when people say that's it, well, go look at our Facebook views. Our Facebook views are tripled, quadrupled what that is. That's why it's our job to continue to grow our YouTube channel.
That's all we can do. We're growing in the process, and we appreciate the fact that we can grow along with you guys and you come along with us for the journey and be able to have those moments where we could have, special guests be able to share their journey with us as we're trying to figure out our own journey and trying to maximize our opportunity and being able to learn how to present the information and to make it more entertaining for you guys who stick with us through the entirety of the podcast, who give us the feedback. And with like episodes like tonight were what started this podcast all those years ago, where we'd take August and we'd break it down each and every week in August. We'd go around the entire league of the NFL, and each and every week of August, we choose two divisions, AFC, NFC, and we break them down, who we think is going to wind up on top, who we think is going to be in the basement, who we think is going to be spunky but still won't be able to do enough to get themselves into the dance. And it all leads to the culmination episode. It's a 5-parter leading up to the playoff and predictions episode, which will be the final On the Money podcast episode before the official start of the 2024 football season. Our opportunity to be able to give you our rundown for our division champions, our wild cards, the matchups between the teams in the playoffs, and of course, like every other year, our Super Bowl predictions. Consider tonight part 1 of the 5-part saga brought to you by On the Money Sports, the 2024 AFC NFC West official breakdown from the pod here live.
Oh, and we're just getting started.
Grab yourself a cold beer, kick back, relax, get comfortable. We're going to be breaking down the NFC West and the AFC West. Chris, glad that you're tuned in early, because we are going to be talking about your division. Who could potentially be the biggest threat to the reigning, defending, returning Kansas City Chiefs? Who are the quarterbacks for the other teams in that division at the start of the football season? We have word today that somebody officially won the quarterback job, and then before we just muted the big TV off to the side that you can't see, they were talking about the quarterback competition going down in Las Vegas. You know, sometimes when they use the term quarterback competition, it's because they don't have a true starting quarterback. They're just trying to figure out who among them is going to be the one that they're going to put out there for week 1. A lot of what ifs, a lot of questions, a lot is up in the air when it comes to these two divisions. You've got strong contenders in this division, like Super Bowl contenders, and then you've got the teams around them that it could go any type of way. We've already got news as far as some of these teams coming out of training camp, some good, some not so good.
Yeah, you might as well lead off with that before we start breaking all this down.
Well, I was going to say that we also are currently in the middle of Brandon Ayuk watch. On top of everything, it's fitting that we're talking NFC West. We're going to get to the 49ers eventually, but, you know, when it comes to the 49ers right now, the biggest storyline coming out is the potential trade of Brandon Ayuk and the stalemate of the last couple of days as far as the terms of the trade, and him not necessarily being too keen to going to certain destinations. And a dark horse team like the New England Patriots saying, we'll give you $32 million. And when he turned his nose up at that, they said, we're out. Like, we're done. We're going to invest in our young group.
So this is everything I've gathered from everything I've been reading on Twitter, because, you know, I'm following closely.
Yeah, it's Ayuk watch all day in this house.
Listen, if it happens, I'm going to be excited. If it doesn't, it is what it is. I always expect, you know, to be disappointed. So here's the situation with New England. New England and the Niners, whether any news reporter wants to acknowledge it or not, agreed to trade compensation. They agreed to trade compensation. A deal was in place. But in order to get the deal in place, they needed Ayuk to agree to their contract extension. They went almost $33 million a year. That's right behind Justin Jefferson. And he turned it down. And he was also hard to get a hold of on the phone. So New England's trying to get a hold of him after they get this deal in place with the 49ers. And he's juking and jiving. Dodging them calls. And when they talk to him, they can hear in his voice, it's like, yo, this, even with the money we're offering, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So they backed out.
Good on them, man.
So they're sitting back saying, damn, The Niners are like shit because it was a good package, supposedly. So the Browns come into play. They offered Cooper initially. Then they pulled Cooper off.
And took him off the table.
Yep.
Yeah.
They also had draft compensation agreed upon with the 49ers. Again, I said no because also Cleveland's in salary cap hell, whether anybody wants to acknowledge that or not.
Steelers love wide receivers.
Bro, and you guys just like being entertaining and not being
amigos.
You're all about selling tickets and not winning, so stop. You great regular season winners. Don't come at my team.
We setting up the Week 5 matchup between the Steelers and the Cowboys early, as Noli has officially checked in. Jason, what's going on, bro? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well, bro.
You know, their quarterback has put them in a perpetual salary cap hell, who, may I add, has been underperforming even when he is healthy, and he hasn't even played a full season still. That's number one. Number two, the deal they would have to do would have to be a lot of tinkering and woozy and wazzy, you know, a lot of crap. Yeah, and so he didn't like that concept either. So when the 49ers get back to him and said, well, where do you prefer to go? Pittsburgh or Washington? Washington's just like, yeah, we're good. Like, Washington's not even like Washington. There's been offers, but nothing that's gotten past the offering stage. So now it's
they removed themselves a while ago, though. Like Washington, something happened where Washington was just like, we're not playing this game with you.
So with Pittsburgh said, here's our offer. Supposedly, it's day 2 picks. And I've heard James Daniels. I'm not 100% sure about the James Daniels part.
So a fleece.
And basically, that's the best offer the 49ers have. And the problem is they can't trade him to Cleveland or New England because Cleveland and New England, if they didn't get the verbal agreement on a contract extension, you're not going to give up assets for a player who's like, even if he plays this year on the 5th-year option, then you tag him and you screw yourself 22 million, 23 million, and then he waits till week 8 to come in and play.
That'd be disgusting.
So those teams aren't going to put themselves in that situation.
That'll be disgusting. Waiting until week 8.
So
you don't even know what your football team's going to look like by week 8.
So what it comes down to is there was supposedly an agreement in place Monday. However, the Niners don't like the haul they're getting, so they quickly allowed other people in hopes that it would drive Pittsburgh to raise the bar. Mm-hmm. Omar Khan has pretty much said, this is my offer. This is what I'm willing to do. If you want to do it, let's do it. If not, let's not do it. At this point, he's either going to Pittsburgh or he's staying in San Francisco. If I'm San Francisco, you're realizing that teams are valuing him more than you are. So if teams look at him like that, that means he's a good player, and you need to stop looking at him like he's not.
So what are you going to be without him?
So, yeah, and you got to ask yourself, if we let him go, how much better are we? Or can Ricky Purcell stay healthy as a rookie so we can get him on the field to watch him? Is Deebo Samuel that guy who also tends to get hurt? And now you have a Christian McCaffrey injury where he's not playing in the preseason, but should be ready week 1.
They signed Keyshawn Vaughn. They signed Matt Breida.
At this point, I'm also going to tell 49er fans, if you keep him and let him walk, all you're getting is a 3rd-round comp pick. If you trade him, you're getting at least a 2nd round and another pick and maybe a player. And on top of that, it's already been discussed that Kyle Shanahan's sick of it and wants him out of the locker room. Because supposedly when he embraced them, it didn't feel like a warm embrace. Yeah, look it up. It's an actual article.
Mike, you don't see him staying. Noli said that the Cowboys have mastered the regular season. They just need to figure it out in the playoffs. Noli also believes that he's not staying in San Francisco. When I first initially heard about the report that Cooper was going to be involved in the deal, I thought to myself, that's probably the best thing possible for San Francisco, because a world without
But
Ayuk.
somebody also said, if you're Cleveland, why would you trade him when it would be cheaper to re-sign Coop, who gives you the same production?
Yeah,
that's what Cleveland guys were saying.
Yeah, and like the teams, I don't know, like the market was out there for him, but then also teams are willing to they're willing to put their balls on the table and willing to take them off too and be like, you know what, we're out. Like, screw this.
So the Niners need to make up their mind, because what happens is you get a disgruntled guy in your locker room. That shit can cause divisiveness. Because whether people admit it or not, there's people in that locker room that are on Brandon Ayuk's side.
Especially Noli's comment right there makes a lot of sense. You can't put a package together for him and then take him back, because now it's already out there. It's the biggest storyline right now in football.
So CTESPN, a.k.a. Antonio Brown, put this tweet out 4 months ago that Brandon Ayuk will be traded to the Steelers. So,
younger wide receiver with a higher ceiling makes sense for the Browns. Cooper will start to decline, and that could start this year. I think what Cooper has to offer right now, it would work well for the 49ers.
Yeah,
as far as
and that's what they liked at that. But the problem was Brandon Ayuk flat out said, I'm not signing a contract extension.
Otherwise, a deal with Cleveland would have been done already. I think.
I'm surprised, bro, that this guy really wants to come to Pittsburgh that badly.
Yeah.
Like, our quarterback situation isn't a thing of gold.
Let's weld. Go Russ.
I mean, Justin Fields has looked good in training camp. I don't know where those he had a couple bad days to start, but in the last week, he's looked really sharp, to the point that Mike Tomlin came out today and said, we are indeed in the midst of a quarterback competition.
But that Russ is technically still the one.
He's still pole position. And nothing against Russ. When Russ practiced the days when his calf can respond, he's looked really sharp out there too. The Arthur Smith system is built for these guys. And you adding Brandon Ayuk, it stops teams from loading the box against the run.
Maybe by the time,
because then you have to worry about Ayuk and you got to worry about Pickens.
Maybe by the time a trade happens, it'll have already happened before.
Supposedly, the rumor is the trade's going to be announced either Friday night or Friday midday. So we'll see. Andrew Filipponi from Pittsburgh Radio has gone out on a limb and won't reveal his source, but has said it's a done deal. They're just working out the kinks.
What up, Chris?
There's a burner account that I've discovered. Pretty Ricky. His avatar is remember the dog with the spot? Spud McKenzie?
No.
All right, he's my era. Spud McKenzie. Yeah. Well, his avatar, Spud McKenzie, with an NFL hat on.
Yeah.
And his wallpaper photo is Spud McKenzie with the NW Wolfpack.
Oh, shit.
But I went back and looked at his history and timeline.
Yeah.
He's dropped gems before these things have happened. And he said, I don't care what these people say. Sit tight. He's going to be a Steeler. A lot of people think the media, the mainstream media, is pissed that the leaks are getting out before they can leak it out. I don't know what's going to happen. He's either going to be a Steeler or a 49er, unless another team just comes out of the water and a winning team, because I don't see him signing a contract extension with any losing teams.
Yeah. And how many teams are actually in the running at this point?
But I think they say a lot of it has to do with Mike Tomlin. He wants to play with Mike Tomlin. We're going to find out, though.
That's what we have up until this point. We just thought it would be good to be able to set the table as far as what's going on with San Fran and the Brandon Ayuk stalemate that we have ourselves in right now. Does a deal get done? Does it not? That could dramatically impact what we've got going down for this breakdown, because a world in San Francisco, a world without Ayuk can be a very scary thing if we're relying on a Deebo Samuel with the injury history that he has, an unproven rookie, a Juwan Jennings, who I'm hoping gets more targets for the sake of my dynasty team. But, you don't want to solely rely on that. You got the McCaffrey issues going on. He's not going to be playing until most likely week 1. No reason to have him out there for the preseason anyway, when you've already got injuries across the league, like Josh Downs, who for the Colts is going to be out, 4 to 6 weeks. Like, this is a spooky time of year as we're breaking everything down. This last month of no football is the scariest thing in the world because you're going through these training camp reports and preseason games, and you just want these players to get to September in one piece. You know, it's like going through a field of landmines, hoping that your guys
I'm
are able
already
to
dealing
dodge
with Russ.
everything.
Like, I want to see Russ in this lineup.
San Fran and Dallas have the same issue. They draft very well, end up with a bunch of all pros that want to get paid. It's a gift and a curse to draft too good. As weird as that sounds, got to maneuver around that cap. 49ers are also pretty good at trades. So I feel like they'd be on the losing end of a trade with you guys because you're not getting.
Well, the
what you
rumor
want.
is the contract that he's going to sign with us isn't that high. It's still like in the range of between 20 and 30 million. Well, Mikey, let me make this a perfect point. See, you want to say that the market's the market, bro. Right? Daniel Jones got paid the market. He's actually a top 10 wide receiver. I personally think he's better overall than Deebo Samuel. But Deebo Samuel's very explosive because of the run game. But when it comes to pure receiving, I think he's the better receiver.
Do I think he should be getting paid as high as Chase Jettas or Hill?
No.
Me personally, speaking outside of the market, no.
No.
I think he falls into that next tier of guys, like right under them, where you could have the conversation.
Him, Higgins,
it's
Jalen Waddle, like he's in that vicinity.
This could turn into a whole petty thing because now San Fran's looking at him like, damn, dog, he cost us 2 really good, like, deals that were put on the table.
That's what I'm also thinking too.
You screwed us over. We could have, the Browns are going to give you whatever you want out of them. Like the Browns deal was the deal for San Fran. They were licking their chops at it. He pulled the creative control card. And with the Patriots, that's not that bad either because the Patriots have a lot of moving parts and assets in a young football team.
They thought Drake May would have lured him.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are very high on Drake May.
So we'll get to the Patriots eventually. We'll get to the AFC East eventually. That's going to be another interesting topic of conversation. Though?
In all of this, we have not talked about CeeDee Lamb not reporting to camp yet.
He is not. He's actually on the do not report list.
Think about that.
He's on the did not report list.
CeeDee Lamb is the better receiver. CeeDee Lamb is a top 5, top 4. When you talk about receivers, you talk about Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, and then you put CeeDee Lamb right there.
He's in that tier.
And Dallas has avoided the scrutiny of being called out for this and questioning why Lamb hasn't got his deal because this Brandon Ayuk situation, this drama is taking over.
Dog.
But the moment it gets fixed, that's where the media is going to go next.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb at camp yet? No. Why? And
that's how it works.
Knowing the Cowboys.
Credit to Dallas. Dallas has to sit back and say, yeah.
Knowing the Cowboys and knowing how they do things, I wouldn't be surprised if they re-sign him on Mikey, opening weekend.
While I kind of agree with you, haven't seen Ayuk on a team where he's the guy. Pittsburgh's offense ain't San Francisco's offense. Will he live up to a $30 million a year contract on Pittsburgh? I'm not saying he can't, but we haven't seen him do it neither. So to ask for that kind of money is crazy. You know how many yards George Pickens received last year, right? Over 1,100 yards. 6 touchdowns. Do we also know who's throwing him the football?
Kenneth Shane Pickett.
Right? Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh, yeah, Mitchell Trubisky.
And Mason and Rudolph.
I forgot those guys made cameos too.
So let's not forget if Pickens can get that kind of yardage, and this is now a professional offense, ladies and gentlemen. This is a professional environment. We have a real offensive coordinator. One of our linemen came, I think it was James Daniel. He goes, "It's nice."
Stats. Let's see the views we're going to pay him.
It's not. James Daniel came out and said yesterday, "It's nice to know what everybody's job is on the offense and what is expected of us."
Jason,
this is the best coaching I've had on the offensive side of the ball since I've been here.
Jason, I agree with you. I think that the Cowboys are going to make it a spectacle, and they're probably going to re-sign him the first week of the season just to, steal the headlines.
Like they did with
as only
Zeke.
Jerry does. They're gonna.
Remember when they paid Zeke?
It's just their thing. It's their brand.
I
It's
just
who they
don't
are.
I don't think Dak's getting a deal. I think Dak's gone after this year. I'm telling you, this is the 2025 season is going to be predicated on these next 3 weeks.
One of the new rumors
for Trey Lance. Can Trey Lance play out of his mind these next 3 weeks to show that he should be given a chance?
One of the new rumor innuendos that I saw floating around today was the potential team up of Bill Belichick and Dak in New York with the G-Men.
Who?
Dak Prescott, Bill Belichick with the Giants.
I've been calling Dak to the Giants for a very long time.
I was saying Zeke.
Please no Cabo.
Trey looks like shit in camp. He ain't it.
It's
He's not willing to give him the shot.
Let's just see.
Well, we'll have to.
I don't see you guys. Listen, it's foolish to wait till after the season to pay this man.
I don't think they're going to wait till after the season to pay CD.
I'm talking about
with
Dak.
With Dak, I'm leaning more towards he's not coming back. Now I'm on that side where, like, the longer this goes, I can see a world where it's like they're really not going to pay him, or maybe they still do. But the way it just feels like a breakup is coming, and I don't know what that means for Mike McCarthy and his job safety. I know the Cowboys are going to continue being the Cowboys and continue being,
If Prescott leaves, I think McCarthy leaves.
Rush is out playing him big time. So you think McCarthy ends up just, I'm done. Maybe that's part of the frustration with McCarthy. Like,
is that you haven't re-signed my guy yet. You
it's like, what are we doing here? Like, I can't feel safe doing my job if I don't even know who my franchise starting quarterback is going to be for this football team. Like, like, what's going on here? Am I going without you telling me I'm going, or like,
have you already fired me without telling me?
Because that's like the elephant in the room. Like, what's part of the issues? The fact that your franchise guy is not re-signed.
Garbage time stats, boy.
McCarthy may not last the season. Oof. If that's the case, then we're having a conversation about them potentially imploding during the regular season.
Welcome aboard,
I don't see that.
It's always a pleasure to have Rick on the podcast commenting.
Cowboys don't have a QB signed after this year. This is big. All 3 QBs on the roster on their last years.
Well, if you guys have a losing season, Alexi's going to fire Dable. Alexi's already said 3 years.
Alexi's going to fire him himself?
I know. It's just like Alexi tried to tell me that he don't think Brandon Ayuk's that good. Like, he thinks he's good, but he ain't that guy. I'm like, come on, dude. If you put him on the Giants, he's the number 1. And number 2.
It's kind of like the same situation that's happening in the real NFL where everybody's kind of putting their price tag on him as far as his value. And some teams are like, we don't think that's worth it. And
Alexi doesn't make the calls.
Back to QB forever.
A-chain.
Alexi doesn't make the calls, but if it's a bad call, he is going to make sure you hear about it for the remainder of existence. He's going to tell you this is why you don't do this move.
Oh, I still hear it about
back
Barkley.
To the Barkley draft pick. Dak will ball out and 65 to 70 a year.
You're 100% correct. I'm bringing that up.
Yeah, that's the comment of the night right there, because every day that Jerry waits, the price goes up. And I think the organization is locked in on a CeeDee Lamb contract right now, trying to finalize those numbers. The ink ain't even on the paper yet for it. Like, they're putting Dak on the back burner right now.
Daboll came into a big-ass mess. He made it to the playoffs and won Coach of the Year. He's not going anywhere. Just ask Elon's uncle.
That's right.
Wait, what is going on? I missed the conversation because
my uncle
work was pretty steady today.
My uncle's out here from Texas. I'm looking forward to hanging out with him tomorrow. We're going to be taking a trip to NY tomorrow. Had him over at the house. We had lunch. We just had time to catch up. My uncle is a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. He is, one of the first people that I knew on Sundays at 12 p.m., 1 p.m. It's time to get ready to watch some football. He loves his Eagles. He is having some concerns as far as the Eagles and their relationship as far as Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni.
Oh, we saw that come out today.
He's also saying that he knows who the Cowboys are going to be this year. He knows that the Cowboys are going to do what they do in the regular season, and then the playoffs come. And so he's not worried about them. My uncle said the team that he's worried about the most right now is the New York Giants. They make him feel uncomfortable. He said he likes Dayball. He believes in their coaching staff more than he believes in the Eagles coaching staff right now.
Well, nobody believes in that clown Sirianni.
He likes the talent that they've been able to put together on drafting and just like he likes what's going on over there, but he doesn't like it as an Eagles fan. Having it, he grew up in New York. He grew up hating the New York Giants. You know what I mean? Like he Giants and Cowboys are the biggest rivals in his eyes, but he says that with what the Giants have going on right now and the uncertainty that he feels with the Eagles, he feels a little bit nervous. So right now the Giants are kind of looking like a dark horse in his eyes as far as what they're going to be able to do this season moving forward. So
that's interesting.
The Giants fans rejoice. That. You got some Eagles fans out there that are a little bit nervous. They're a little bit shaky. They're gonna have
Giants
to see what
going 5-12. Tell your uncle relax.
Yeah, I don't agree with him, but it's just an interesting take from somebody within the division. You know, like somebody that can see what's going on there.
Spunky, right?
It would have to be 6-11, right? 6-11, like a. Yeah, but how many weeks of like losing in the last minute can you still put that fist up though, right? Like 6-11 can be spunky if done correctly.
To the Jets.
6-11 can be spunky.
Remember when they lost to the Jets?
8-9, 9-8. Giants going 5-12.
But to get back to Noli's comment, he's 100% correct. If Dak has another year like he did last year, where he only threw 10 interceptions or 9 interceptions and like 30-some touchdowns. Dude, you're looking at between that price range.
Because who the hell is going to be throwing CeeDee Lamb the ball if he's not there?
Mikey has made his official prediction right there.
The Giants?
10-7.
Okay.
So that's something to look into because he's right. It's going to be a big contract.
Yeah.
Rick, talking about the Niners, still don't have a signed left tackle. That is correct. Trent Williams is still holding out. That's also another reason why they probably haven't paid Ayuk yet.
And we know with the 49ers, we're going to talk about it tonight. They
have
nothing
left to do.
They have nothing left to do but win a Super Bowl. Like they are doomed to repeat the same.
He did not
pattern.
lead the league in interceptions, you doofus. He only had like 10 interceptions last year.
Doesn't matter who your team is. I need to see who can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. I need to see that too at this point. Like the road to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City.
I want to correct Mike.
We're going to be talking about them in a little bit.
Let's look at Mr. Prescott's numbers.
What, last season's numbers?
Yeah.
I had him. I probably had it written down in another note.
Dak Prescott's numbers last year: 36 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in 17 games.
That window has closed. Has the 49ers window closed? Would a trade of Brandon Ayuk?
I don't think so. The defense is still really good.
I wouldn't say the window's closed.
You just incorporate Kittle back into the passing game.
Yeah. All right, so we ready to do this?
I look at Purdy's number. Like, here's this. Here's Brock Purdy's numbers last year: 31 touchdowns, 11 picks. He does that again this year in his third season. He's gonna demand a contract extension, bro. That's another player they got to pony up and pay.
Yeah. Back up the Brinks truck. Somebody's getting paid somewhere. If you don't do it, somebody else will. And listen, the Patriots missed out on this opportunity to sign this wide receiver, but that $32 million a year offer can still be something they can put on the table to go grab somebody else. Like we see right now, what that showed me is that the Patriots are busy right now. They've got money.
Don't sleep on the Commanders.
They've got young talent, and I've been saying it for weeks on this podcast. I think the Commanders can make a babyface push this year with all the moving pieces that they've got going on. What my uncle feels for the Giants, I feel as far as the Commanders right now and what they can do this year inside that division.
Who's their quarterback this year besides
Jaden Daniels? And then Marcus Mariota signed as the backup. Eric Bieniemy, another season in that offense.
Oh no, he's the head coach of college team, man. I think UCLA.
Who, Bieniemy?
Yeah.
He left?
Yeah, I think he's with UCLA.
Did? Oh shit. And that's the one thing that might hold Washington back is like there's a lot of new faces in new places. There's a lot of the new regime. They had the clean house. They had the clean house out there. So Mikey doesn't believe that the Commanders are going to be a threat. I can't wait for the Commanders versus Giants games this year. And just to see that division just duke it out, man. The same for the division we're about to get into, the NFC West. We've talked about it a little bit. Figure I can kick it off. I'm gonna work my way up.
We're gonna do the NFC first.
Yeah, from the bottom to the top of the division. Super competitive division. The two biggest headlines for me when it comes to breaking down the AFC side and the NFC side is
just doesn't stop.
1, the Brandon Ayuk watch, and number 2, Justin Herbert's latest injury, which we'll get into when we talk the AFC West.
Week 2 against Washington, you'll see them get slapped. Jaden
Week 2,
Daniels over Daniel Jones. I said it.
I like Jaden Daniels, bro. I will be drafting me some Jaden Daniels. I'm mad as hell I couldn't get him in fantasy. We'll see, man. We'll see. Everybody has their opinions on what the Giants are going to be, bro. It's just going to be an interesting week-to-week saga each and every week to see like what unfolds and the storylines that play out. With the NFC East is good again. You know, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of storylines there, and there's a lot of storylines in this NFC West too. And right off the bat, I'm going to surprise some people. Some people may not agree with what I'm saying right here. Are we going from
bottom up?
I'm working my way from the basement all the way to the top floor. I've been doing that the last couple of years. Rick's 4 teams that fall this year: Bengals, Bills, Eagles, Jags. I can see all of that. I can see all of that, bro. At number 4, I've got the Seattle Seahawks with a record of 5-12.
Ooh.
The Seattle Seahawks have a daunting schedule, a gauntlet, if you will, to start off the season. And I think what they had last year was lightning in a bottle, and they aren't going to be able to duplicate that in order to keep up with the rest of the West.
They were inconsistent last year.
Last year, you started to see it. That's right. It was 2 years ago. They wrote me off. I didn't write back. Last year, they had the rookies in key positions, and as the season went on and as the grind of the football season went on, they just weren't able to just keep the same energy down the stretch. And this is looking like one of the best divisions in football to me. I don't like the schedule that they have. And don't be surprised, mild hot take right now, a mild take, caliente, if you will. Don't be surprised if you see a little bit of Sam Howell action at quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. The forgotten protege, former Washington Commander. Some of us started him a couple weeks in fantasy football, but there could be potential for Sam Howell to come out and start a couple of games for the Seattle Seahawks team. Talent across the board, great football coach. I just don't feel like this is going to be
Geno missed those 2 games. He finished with 3,600 plus yards, 20 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. His previous year was 30 touchdowns, 11 picks, and 4,200 yards. So there was a big dip.
Yeah.
A very big dip. Sam Howell, on the other hand, for Washington, 21 TDs and 21 picks.
By no means was it pretty, but he's a QB2 over there. The opportunity could be there for him. And, Gino Marino, that was a flash in the pan one-time thing. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that again.
Like you, I have the Seahawks also finishing in last place. I have them with a 6-11 record. The Seahawks didn't pick a quarterback in the draft, ladies and gentlemen. So they're going to run it with Geno, and they're going to run it with Sam. Whatever happens, whoever may be the best quarterback get, I'm going to take a turn from Mike Tomlin and say Geno has pole position. This is Geno's chance to prove, 2 years ago wasn't a fluke. I can throw that many yards. I can throw that many touchdowns. Just let me do this.
Let me cook.
They do have a first-year head coach. There's going to be a bit learning curve. The defense is a little younger. They jettisoned some pieces. They let the Bobby Wagners go, the Quadre Diggs, the Jamal Adams. So I can see, there's some youth being put in, but in this loaded division, I don't think it's enough.
They're not going to be able to keep up. There's too much going on at the top. And they're going to have to play those teams, and they're not going to be able to beat those teams.
So let's see. I'm going to go next.
I see a split between them and the other team that I have in the third spot right now.
My third spot is the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. I got the Cardinals at 8-9. I think there's 8 capable wins on there for them.
Yes.
Kyler Murray is removed a full year now off of that ACL injury.
Mm-hmm.
He should be moving around good. I did read. I don't think he's playing in the preseason.
Makes sense. Still.
I think he's going to have a big year.
I do too.
Russ
will not be the starter week 1. Spicy.
There's going to be the defense is going to be the leaky part.
Yeah.
But offensively, I think James Conner is going to be still good. I still believe in Marvin Harrison. I think is going to have an amazing rookie year, and Trey McBride.
Yeah.
There's weapons on this team. So if the protection's there, I expect Kyler Murray to be slinging it. He's going to have games where they're winning in the fourth quarter, but they're going to lose because the defense is going to give it up, and that's why I got them 8 and 9.
They got wild card written all over them. All right. Well, I'd love to see what the Cowboys are going to end up being once you guys don't re-sign Dak Prescott and you've got Trey Lance throwing the football to CeeDee Lamb. I'd love to see that show with everything else that's happening.
Freddie just runs in and runs out like a heel.
Like with the Cardinals, I see 9 and 8 myself. I think that, like you, Kyler Murray's going to have a big year. He's going to remind a lot of people of how good he can actually be 1 year removed from the injury that he had. My biggest thing with the Arizona Cardinals here is, if Marvin Harrison's hype is real, then this is going to be a wild card team. They're going to be 9 and 8. They're going to make the wild card in the NFC.
I agree, Mike.
As long as they can weather the early stretch of contenders that they have to face. The back end of their schedule gets a lot easier, and Trey McBride could potentially compete for tight end 1 in fantasy. But looking at the beginning, like going up to week 10, which week 11 is their all-star break, they've got Buffalo, Los Angeles Rams, Detroit Lions, Washington Commanders, San Francisco, Green Bay, Chargers, Miami, Chicago, Jets. That's brutal. If they can manage to get through that and be at like a 5 and 5, you know what I mean? A 4 and 6.
They're going 0 and 3 to start the year.
But after,
I don't see them beating Buffalo.
When you look at the rest of the year, you've got week 12 Seattle, week 13 Minnesota, week 14 Seattle, week 15 New England, week 16 Carolina. Like, they can make a push at the end of the year and sneak into the wild card.
Ready for this one? They'll beat Green Bay.
You think they'll beat Green Bay?
So there's 2, and they'll lose to San Francisco. So there's 1, 2, 3. They're 2 and 4. They probably could beat the Chargers 3 and 4. They'll lose to Miami 3 and 5. They'll beat Chicago 4 and 5. They'll beat the Jets 5 and 5.
And that's all they need to be going into that break. Yeah. That's all they need to do is survive.
And then after that, they can beat the rest of those teams because week 18, San Francisco.
Yeah, they could check. They could be sitting everybody. They're not going to be
play a quarter of football and
unless it's a situation where Detroit and San Fran are competing for that number 1 seed, and San Fran needs to put their guys out there. It's going to mean a lot more to Arizona than it does to San Francisco on week 18 when Arizona's 8 and 8 and has to get that win in order to get that 7 seed, 6 seed primarily.
I think Arizona will be a sneaky team to get good value from fantasy-wise as long as Murray stays healthy and plays well. Mikey is absolutely 100% right.
After a couple of weeks, it won't even be sneaky.
I will not lie. Kyler Murray is on my radar at the back half of fantasy drafts this season.
Yeah. I mean, he's my QB1 in Dynasty.
I'll let it out the bag.
Trey McBride could be tight end 1 overall, fantasy football-wise, and if Marvin Harrison is what everybody says he is, this football team is going to win some games.
This may be the first fantasy draft that a guy named Kelsey or Andrews is not being the first tight ends picked in the draft.
Well, you got Laporta, you got Trey McBride. There's other things happening. Dare I say Kyle Pitts? Dare I say Kyle Pitts?
You just couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't. We were talking tight ends, and you know that I'm going to try to incorporate Kyle Pitts into the conversation, but I love what Arizona's doing. Unfortunately for them, they're in a division right now with the Rams and the 49ers, which is going to hold them back a little bit, but those are going to be key games. It's all going to come down to, can they get through that stretch from week 1 to week 10? Hell, I might even go out on a bold prediction and say that they beat Buffalo week 1. They go out there. They give Buffalo another Hail Murray.
That could change their whole complexion.
At plus money, the Arizona Cardinals pull the upset week 1. Those are the types of things that need to happen for football teams like this, that they have wild card written all over them. They're not going to have a pretty record. Some Sundays are going to look ugly. It's going to be a tough stretch, especially to start out. But when you get to week 12, you play Seattle.
Ooh, that's spicy. That has nothing to do with it. And Mike, I'm so glad you're finally
guys
coming to the light.
Going before Andrews and Kelsey get picked this year. Laporta, McBride, and Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid, his role is
He's
definitely
wide
going to
receiver
expand
one
in Buffalo, until Keon Coleman gets his stuff right. I could definitely see a world where Kincaid is one of the most sought after players in the early weeks of fantasy football.
I got the fantasy book that gives me stats for the last couple of years. Let's look at it.
All right. But yeah, I like McBride.
Right now, of course, Kelsey's still ranked number 1 overall, which I don't agree with. Laporta, 889 yards, 10 touchdowns.
McBride to the moon.
McBride, 825 touchdowns, 825 yards, 3 touchdowns. I'm going to say the touchdown were dipped because the team wasn't that good.
And Murray got hurt, man. It was just a lot of moving parts, bro.
Kincaid only had 673 yards last year, but I anticipate that to be very much higher than that this year.
Somebody has to get targets out there. That's all it comes down to. Like somebody
and
has to
just
get
to make you happy, Kyle Pitts is projected to have 891 yards and 7 touchdowns this year.
Love it.
According to Matt Berry's Roto World Fantasy Football magazine.
Kirk Cousins is going to have himself a great time getting himself out of some tough situations and getting the ball to none other than Mr. Kyle Pitts, a beer money boy, gold jacket Hall of Famer. Another guy that I have him on the same dynasty team that I have Kyler Murray for. I'm super excited for Kyler Murray because everybody's going to remember, oh, this guy's a dual threat. I forgot he can do all this stuff because an injury can take you so far away from it can make you forget about a player. Just write him off completely.
Kyler got a lot riding on this too, though.
He does. They can miss the playoffs.
He needs to show that he's still a good player.
Kincaid will get longer things going. Yeah. He's going to get a lot of looks. Absolutely.
All right. So let's move on.
Number 2, I've got the LA Rams. I got them at 11-6.
Beat me to the punch.
Look, great coaching, healthy Stafford, favorable schedule, a healthy Cooper Kupp, which we're talking about, injuries and what that can do and how long it takes to come back. Talent all across the board.
Be back by week 1.
This team has all the tools to unseat the 49ers this season at the top of the West. And, I think that Kyren Williams, as far as fantasy goes, is going to be a freaking league winner. Kyren Williams is going to eat this year. Like, this team has everything that they need, bro. They have everything they need. They know their biggest obstacle in this division is the San Francisco 49ers. They know how to play the 49ers. They're built the same way. They have to play them twice a year, and they have success against the San Francisco 49ers. I think that they can go 11-6, and if things in San Francisco ain't all peachy keen after this trade does or doesn't go through or potentially sit out, who knows? I'm just saying that this situation is the perfect setting for the LA Rams to come out and take this division. Like, they're good enough to do it. They're good enough to win the West. That's why I've got them at 11-6. I've got them in a position where it's like by a game, they could end up taking this division, be in the 2 or the 3 seed in the NFC. And, when it comes to them being in the playoffs, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs because Matthew Stafford has been there before. He's one of the only quarterbacks left in this league that knows what it feels like to win at the highest level. And my man's is back. It's kind of like the whole Clayton Kershaw type of vibe. Like the guy, we knew he had the injury with his arm last year. And, it's always maintenance when it comes to Stafford. A year removed from that, another season, Cooper Kupp coming back and being healthy, and he looks great in training camp. Cooper Kupp potentially reminding a lot of people that, hey, at 31, I could still get the job done. A Kyren Williams, who was a top 5 running back, and just great coaching. Like, they have everything, bro. Like, they have all the components to – I mean, they're a sleeper to take the NFC, I would say.
100% agree with you. You'll never hear me say one bad word about Matt Stafford. Their backup quarterback is Stetson Bennett, who didn't play the entire year last year.
I agree with you, Mike.
Who has been battling with alcoholism, but he's back this year. Matt Stafford had 24 touchdowns last year and 11 picks to 3,900 yards in only 15 games. So he missed 2 games last year. This year, he's projected to do 4,300, 29 touchdowns, and 13 picks. Matt Stafford is Matt Stafford, plain and simple. If he's healthy, He's going to sling it, and he's going to get the ball to his playmakers.
Yep. That's what he does.
Puka Nacua is right now nursing an injury, but he's expected to be back week 1. They're not looking at it as a big problem, which there's no need to rush back. What people don't understand is in the last 10 weeks of the season, he was wide receiver 1 over Cooper Kupp.
Yes, he was.
You go back and look at the numbers. And like you said, Kyron Williams. And now Blake Corum to back him up. Nice little patch up.
Yeah.
The only thing that I will say this team is going to be missing leadership in the form of Aaron Donald with his retirement.
Yeah.
It plugs a hole in defensive line. Their defense, it could be at times is leaky. It gave up too many points at that point, especially secondary. Regardless, though, Matt Stafford's good enough to get a good-ass lead to where you don't have to worry about the defense doing much. So I got them going 10-7 this year.
10-7, 11-6.
Spoiler alert, they're in the hunt for one of those 3 wild card spots.
They got all the ingredients to get it together. And Mikey, like you were saying, this is one of their last shots with Stafford. We don't know how much longer he's playing for. This is a team that is built to win right now, a team that I could definitely see a scenario where we might get a third meeting between the 49ers and the Rams this year in the NFC title game.
I would book them the Rams.
Like they're going to be solid this year. I really, really like their schedule. I remember looking at it earlier and saying to myself, oh yeah, these guys can definitely.
They start the year off at home against Vegas. They go on the road against Carolina, on the road for Pittsburgh, home for Kansas City, and have a bye. Then they go away for Denver, Arizona, home for the Saints, away for Cleveland, home for Tennessee and Cincinnati, Baltimore. That's a three-game stretch. Remember, they took it to Baltimore. It was a punt return that got them beat.
That was a good game.
At Atlanta, at Kansas City, Tampa, Denver, at New England, at Vegas.
They're tough games to spread out.
There's 10 games. Hell, I could argue maybe 12 wins on this schedule.
Yeah. If the 49ers slip up, because that's what happens. It's always a team right next to you that's going to benefit the most if you screw up. And the Rams, if the 49ers slip up, the Rams will be the main benefactors. We're talking about 1 seed potential when it comes down to
I won't rule it out.
That's why I know I put them in second place, but I just had to put the disclaimer out there because I think this team is going to be really freaking good. This might be one of the best second place teams in their division. Wouldn't be surprised if they get the 5 seed, top wild card spot. And they are going to go to the 4 seed and probably beat them up. They're going to go to Tampa, or they're going to go to Atlanta. People think Atlanta is going to finally do it this year, and they are going to put the boots to them easily, and they're going to move on to the next round and potentially do the same thing to that next team, depending on how these matchups play out. The only thing in their way is San Francisco, and not for nothing, they have a contingency plan to play San Fran. They know how to play them. They know they're going to be the ones in their way. And San Francisco knows the same thing about them.
100%
They're mirror images of one another. And those showdowns between those 2 teams are probably going to end up being a split. And I think that I think the sky's the limit for that football team. And once again, 49ers, I've got them at 12-5. The only thing left for the 49ers to do is to win a Super Bowl. They'll continue to be the class of the NFC this season, with the Rams on their heels every single step of the way. The Rams might end up even lighting a fire under the San Francisco 49ers team because with San Francisco, I think that their schedule is also manageable. I think that on their side in the NFC, their biggest threats right now are the Los Angeles Rams, the Detroit Lions, and then, the right hook that you never see coming, a dark horse NFC team that could put themselves in the mix and just make things messy for San Francisco. But the goal is the same for this team. They're going to find themselves in the NFC title game again, maybe a Super Bowl. And it's going to be the question of
But it also comes down to the health of Christian McCaffrey.
That's going to be a big concern.
X-factor. Brandon Ayuk is not an X factor. Deebo Samuel's not the X factor. George Kittle is not the X factor. Christian McCaffrey is the X factor. So now that we know that he's nursing a calf injury that can also eventually lead to an Achilles injury if not treated properly, because remember, big man KD had a calf injury that ended up tearing into an Achilles tear.
Yep.
San Francisco has already shut him down in prep for week 1. Madden cover curse, anyone? Speaking of which, for the first
It
time,
lives on, bro.
somebody admitted to me today, for the first time in a month since getting the number 1 overall pick, the focus has become maybe I should take a quarterback number 1 overall instead of Christian McCaffrey.
We've reached that point in the season where we're worried about Christian McCaffrey's injury history, and lo and behold, he ends up getting banged up. So that adds to the legend of, do we stay away or do we miss out on potentially the most potent fantasy football player of the year? Because he still has that capability. He still has a capability of giving you more fantasy points
I
than
will not
anybody
disagree
else
with
on the
you,
field.
but that person, number 1 overall pick in On the Money Sports, has said for the first time since getting that selection, he has considered drafting a quarterback at that spot.
Well, I got a text.
So that tells me you've been thinking about McCaffrey since that was awarded to you.
Well, I got a text, and it was a question. Would you still draft McCaffrey in the first or the second overall pick, knowing what you know now? And I said to myself, and I said to that person, yes, I would. But I am also monitoring every bit of information having to do with this injury up until fantasy draft season is over. McCaffrey's going to be on one of my rosters, inevitably. But I could also see a world where he's like falling in my lap in other leagues because guys don't want to deal with it. As the weeks go by, I'm going to be drafting for 3 weeks straight, and I'm going to be gathering as much information as possible leading up to the On the Money Sports draft, September 1st, one of the last drafts of the season, where we'll have all the information that we need, and there will be nothing left to do but for me to draft and for that person to draft right before me. And we will see. We will see where Christian McCaffrey lands.
I made fun of him today because I went, and with the first overall selection, the Rotten Giants select number 17, Josh Allen. And he looked, he goes, it's funny you say that, man, because I'm really thinking.
See, I can't see a world where McCaffrey gets past like pick 7, pick 6 in our.
I'll let him pass by. Too many questions, bro.
Once those top 3 quarterbacks are off the board, once the big 3 is off the board,
they asked me what would I do. I said I would take Jetta.
It's an even playing field. You got the 4 pick.
I would take Jetta.
So you're going to be the first person that's going to have to deal with that real life scenario, fantasy football wise, on the 2 quarterback league. The big names are going to go. The quarterbacks are going to go crazy in the first and the second round. And you could potentially be that first player
Lamar
that starts
Jackson
a new trend.
I could see him pulling a swerve on us and going Lamar Jackson.
Spicy. And that would be pretty damn good because that would be something that, you're expecting to potentially see him at the back end of the first, maybe the start of the second round. But Lamar Jackson could potentially also be QB1 this year. Lamar Jackson could potentially be everything that we think Josh Allen's going to be. And Lamar Jackson right now has more established weapons.
The real question is, will someone draft Breece Hall over CMC this year?
That's a good one. That is a good one, bro. Because I am a big believer in Breece Hall, bro. Breece Hall has RB1 written all over him as far as fantasy football goes. So it's like, do you get the jump on the Breece Hall Express before it shoots all the way to the moon? That's right. A train with wings that's going to shoot you to the moon. That's what Breece Hall is this year in fantasy. Or do you stick with the tried and true, risk of injuries and everything, and say to yourself, it's Christian freaking McCaffrey. And somebody is going to end up being blessed with having a league winner like Breece Hall in that second or third round. Think about how our leagues play out. All the quarterbacks go at the top. Breece Hall is going to be sitting there next to Saquon Barkley, next to Jahmyr Gibbs potentially. Like, there's going to be an embarrassment of riches in that second and third round once we get most of the big quarterbacks out of the way. Like, it's going to be crazy. That's a real life scenario this year where Breece Hall could finish better than Christian McCaffrey in fantasy football. That's how good I feel about him. I don't feel as good about the Jets as I feel about Breece Hall. I think that, like, similar to like how I look at Kyron Williams, Breece is going to be a major factor in the success of the New York Football Jets, or lack thereof. But to switch gears.
So just a quick recap. We agreed on the entire NFC West.
Yeah.
Niners,
off
Rams,
by like a win
Cardinals,
Yeah, I think
Seahawks.
Seahawks are. This is too much for the Seahawks to deal with. I think as long as Arizona can weather the first 10 weeks, then they're going to be in the conversation of in the hunt week 17, week 18, along with some of those other teams that are fringe for us. And the sky's the limit for the other two teams. The other two teams could potentially be facing off in the NFC title game at the end of the year. Rams and 49ers part 3. I think Brees is going to have a monster season, year 2 removed from the ACL. Yeah, man. Kyler Murray, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, Brees Hall, a year removed from the injury that, impacted them, being able to showcase what they can do and remind people like, oh, this is why their value is where it is.
It's interesting.
Like,
I'm not going to sit here.
This is why. That was definitely, I like that, Mike. I like that. I like that a lot. And now going and shifting over to something that I don't like so much, the Denver Broncos. And I mentioned their name because, like I said, I'm building from the basement up. And, if there was a basement for the basement, I think I would have put the Denver Broncos there. I've got them going 4-13. This team is just a disaster to me with no real identity and a head coach who had a vendetta against Russell Wilson. I don't know when this team is going to get out of the basement. It's looking like Stidham is going to win the starting job. So week 1, lo and behold, Jared Stidham will be the QB1 for the Denver Broncos. Rejoice, Denver. We don't know for how long. And I wish Bo Nix nothing but the best of luck because you are sitting behind 2 quarterbacks that you're more talented than those guys, but you're all part of this big shit show of a company that is the Denver Broncos that can never seem to get the quarterback situation right, that is still paying more money for Russell Wilson than the Steelers are right now paying for Russell Wilson. And, oh, yeah, they're in the same division as the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know what positives I could spin for this football team. I could see them drafting in the top 5 in next year's draft if they don't trade away that pick. Bo Nix is the silver lining that I have for them and the potential for what he can be, but he has to survive being a part of that, kind of like how the Cardinals have to survive. Bo Nix has to survive, but on a different level. Like, you have to just survive everything that is happening around you. And it's all a mess. A total, complete, disgusting mess.
I won't argue with you on that.
I got 4-13. And it's not strong. It's not strong, okay? Before you ask, it's not a 4-13 that you can feel good about. It's a dito all the way, Mike.
So I got, my thing is Sean Payton has a lot of questions on this team from a quarterback to receivers to defense. After they got shellacked for 70 points against the Dolphins, they were able to get some sort of normalcy last season. They released Russell Wilson and deemed him too expensive, even though he had a good season, only had the Broncos 1 game out of the playoffs when they benched him. It's because they didn't want to pay him the guarantee. Mm-hmm. Payne is putting all his chips into Bo Nix, as we all know. Let's see if the kid can handle it. I do expect Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham to start the year, but I'm pretty sure they'll both lose a job before November. I don't see this team winning more than 5 games.
It's the over-under on game Stidham starts. What do we put the number at? Like 5?
I'm going to say either Stidham 5. Or
Zach Wilson.
I'm going to say 4 games tops.
4 games?
I think by October the kid's starting.
Oh, what does that mean for him, Like, what are you throwing him into that situation? Even with him starting, I just think it's going to be an ugly season for this football team. And they've put themselves in that position where I don't have many nice things to say about the Denver Broncos. I don't feel good about them. I don't have faith in them. I think that they mishandled the Russell Wilson situation. And that's one of those things where, karma is always going to get the last laugh on you when you treat people a certain type of way. And I think that personal vendetta trickled off the field and it just got too personal.
It was him versus Payton.
And
I think Payton went in there and he didn't want him.
Now the Steelers have 2 starting quarterbacks and you have none. Because if Justin Fields was in Denver, he'd be the starter. Justin Fields would be the QB1 in Denver. There would be no matter what, and deficiencies and all.
Yeah, let's calm it down, fellas. Calm it down.
Noli's hyped up because the Yankees are losing the second of their 2 games today, and as of right now, we have the best record in baseball, so he's having a hard time stomaching that reality. He's still dealing with the sweep last week when we took over their stadium, so he's being a petty Betty right now, and he's trying to bring the Yankees onto the pod right now. But still plenty of baseball left. I'll be tuned in at 10:10 to see what the Phillies do against the Dodgers.
I agree with you on the whole Russell Wilson take that nobody wants to admit. Like, he was done kind of dirty.
Yeah.
The only reason you benched him because you couldn't get him to give up the guarantees, and why should he?
But what are they paying him now? $85 million still?
They paid him by cutting him. They didn't say much. They're still paying him like 40. They're paying him $38 million. Pittsburgh's only paying him like $1 million some.
And he's not even in the building.
That's why he took that deal. He took that deal at Pittsburgh because it was $1 million. He didn't care. He was still getting 38 no matter what.
I got my money from this year from those.
Just give me that and let me show you I can be good. So maybe I can get you to give me a new
Make
deal.
them look even stupider when I come out here and I have the Steelers contending, potentially for a wild card spot. And the Denver Broncos, I can't even tell you when's the next time they're going to be able to contend for a wild card spot. It's going to be a very long time. Like, they removed themselves from that conversation.
Last year, they were 1 game out, bro.
This year, they're going to be a few games out. Like, a few.
Wilson threw 26 touchdowns and 8 picks, and he missed 2 games. So there's a chance he could have thrown 30 touchdowns or more than 30 touchdowns if he had just played.
They pulled the rug out from under him. Like, that's really what it comes down to. They pulled the rug out from under him.
And not to mention he had 3 rushing touchdowns. So he damn near had 30 total touchdowns. I will say this, Pittsburgh's offense is better. Well, skill players than what Denver had. But we'll see.
We forget about the fact that Denver's defense was good for 3 years and nobody knew because they were just wasted.
Yeah.
They wasted 3 good years of a defense that was like they were beating. Russell Wilson beat Kansas City last year, and you treat him like that, like.
Bro, he beat Buffalo, Kansas. He went on a 3-game stretch.
He went on a tear. He went on a tear, taking care of like the big dogs in the AFC, and to see like how they treated him, like you're dealing with karma and you're dealing with ego, and like Sean Payton, like this is your big comeback into the league and to be able to coach, and it's not going very well for you. I can't see a scenario where you're there for another 2 years if because who's going to be their quarterback next year? Does Bo? Are we going to put it on Bo to save Sean Payton's job in 2025 when we're sitting here breaking this?
I'm guessing they're not going to get rid of him because of that.
So you're playing the game of buying time, basically, when it comes to Denver.
I want to see. Here we go. Because I know what stretch you're talking about. Here we go.
It's getting spooky out here.
He won 5 in a row. Remember, at this point, they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were 1-5. Right? They were 1-5.
Yeah.
Then he beat Green Bay at Denver. He beat Kansas City in Kansas City. He beat Buffalo at Buffalo. They went into Minnesota, Minnesota came to Denver. They beat Minnesota. The Browns came to them. They beat the Browns. These are all playoff teams minus.
We just started talking about them right now, Chris. And Noli, what is there to blow up at this point? It's already blown up. Like the fire is still fresh.
All right. So next, they lose to Houston 22-17. But if you watch that game, like I watched that game, when Russell Wilson left the field, they were beating.
Yeah.
They were beating the Texans. The following week, they beat the Chargers 24-7. Then they get their ass whooped by Detroit. Okay. But then they lost by 3 to New England. But again, Russell Wilson had them tied.
Yeah.
The defense allowed New England and the other guy, Bailey Zappi, to go down the field and kick the winning field goal. And that's when they removed him.
Oh, that was such a shit game. I remember just trying to, hoping and praying for some fantasy points out of a Broncos-Patriots game last year was just like pulling teeth, bro.
You're right. Teeth. The Broncos just didn't want to pay him his guarantees and said, let's cut him.
Stupid.
So, yeah, I got you. I got them winning one more game than you got. I got them at 5-12.
5-12.
My next team on the list, I got the Raiders in third place.
Okay.
I got them going 7-10.
Oof. Okay.
Antonio Pierce got the job as a head coach basically because he beat Kansas City. Are the Raiders ready to make noise in the West and get back to the playoffs since 2021? Antonio Pierce has some work to figure out who his quarterback's going to be, Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. It is a detriment to Gardner Minshew if he allows Aiden O'Connell to beat him out. They do have some great players on skill position-wise. The two young tight ends, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. On defense, they got studs on defense.
They do.
So it's all about the quarterback position. But if the quarterback position, which I think is going to be mixed results, it's going to be the reason why they only get 7 wins instead of being 10-7. You have them at second place.
Yeah, you know what?
That told me everything I needed to know.
I'm not, because you know why?
So who's your third place team?
Because you know why? I've done this year after year, and I'm not going to do this to myself this year with this division and this football team. Bro, I've got the Chargers in third place, bro. I'm sorry. I don't like the fact that Justin Herbert is already injured. I like the fact that they've got an adult in the room in Harbaugh. But once again, I'm asking myself, like, the season hasn't even started yet. And I'm saying to myself, why this blind faith in a football team that continues to show me year in and year out that they are incapable of battling and overcoming the adversity? Like I posted in the group chat earlier, the Chargers have the talent, they have the potential, and they have the bad luck. And each and every year, those three things combine together to make the product that we get on the football field. A team that is super talented. You got the second best quarterback in the division, the quarterback that a lot of people feel can take it to Pat Mahomes, that can potentially take over the division. I'm here saying pump the brakes. It ain't going to happen. The Los Angeles Chargers are going to disappoint everybody again. I've got them going 8-9, potentially 7-10, because you know what? I'm tired of playing the potential game with this team. I'd rather play the potential game with the Raiders, a team that for years I have buried on this podcast, a team that I had them in last place probably when we were doing this breakdown last year, a team with a head coach in Antonio Pierce who is getting his football players to play hard for him. Not saying that the Chargers players won't play hard for Harbaugh, but bad things just happen to this football team. The Justin Herbert injury is not a good omen for this team who is historically snake bitten. The Chargers franchise QB just got paid. The team revamped with a new coaching regime, and yet still we cannot trust the LA Chargers. And I sat and thought about it because when I initially started to write for tonight's program, I was about to give them a 10-7 without thinking about it. Just thinking about the talent and Justin Herbert, but like he's already hurt. This is going to linger. This is going to creep into the regular season. They are going to lose week 1 when they should have won. And that's going to be the story of this football team because this is who they are. They cannot be anything besides who they are. Now, I will say there is a bright future ahead. There's a bright I know, Chris. I know. There's a bright future ahead with Harbaugh there. And I think that you give it a year, right? We give them a grace period. We give the new coaches a year grace period to figure things out. This is that year. And I'm not putting the Chargers in my wild card. They could potentially be in the hunt at the end of the season, but they're going to screw that up too. And I could see the Kansas City Chiefs sweeping them. I could see them being one of the teams that Denver manages to get a win off of. And I could see them splitting with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders and the Chargers ain't that different. They really ain't. And at the Raiders, my push for them goes no further than an 8-9, 9-8 record. I can say 9-8. And that's with everything that you mentioned as far as the quarterback situation potentially holding them back. I like some of the things they did on the defensive side of the football. I like Zamir White. Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams, so at least you know you have a target to go to. The push that I was initially going to give the Los Angeles Chargers this year, I'm switching it around. I'm rebooking on the fly, and I'm going to give it to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Raiders end in second. And to answer the big question, I know Jake is going to get a kick out of this. No, none of these teams is any closer to threatening the Kansas City Chiefs for the top spot in the AFC West. We're still trying to figure out the teams on the AFC side capable of beating the Chiefs. We go into this division and we dissect what's going on here. These three teams are not prepared to take it to the Chiefs. I think the Raiders can steal one from Kansas City. I see Kansas City going 5-1 in this division. That one is going to be potentially the spunky 9-8 Raiders. I'm going to give them a push this year, old money. And I hope I don't regret it. I hope I don't eat my words. But Justin Herbert injury, I'm out. I'm not doing it this year. Because more shit's going to happen to this football team, bro. I just know it. The Chargers struggle year in and year out because they can't start the season with the same players to end. Yeah, they can't, dude. I think the Chargers should trade Justin Herbert, which is something that could be made a lot harder seeing as how they just signed him. And that makes that even worse. The money that he's getting right now, the market being the market, and was it plantar fasciitis?
Fasciitis, yes.
Plantar fasciitis. 3 to 4 week period of them potentially saying, like, initially, that's the starting period. That's the floor for this injury. Like, you know, Gus Bus and J.K. Dobbins are your running backs 1 and 2, and you know, Dobbins got no legs, and Gus Bus. I love Gus Bus, but it's just, come on, man. Like, I don't know, bro. Let me look at the schedule. Week 1, Las Vegas. Week 2, Carolina. They'll find a way to go 1-1. Week 3, Pittsburgh. Week 4, Kansas City. It's 2-2, 1-3. It gets like it's easy. You got Denver, you got Arizona, you got New Orleans, you got Cleveland, Tennessee, and then you go on a stretch where you're dealing with Baltimore, Atlanta, Kansas City, Tampa. So the regular season schedule is manageable, but I do not trust this football team, bro. I don't have it in me. I can't muster up. If I'm going to be this hard on the New York Football Giants, who are, you know, at least trying to do the right things moving forward, and they've got their own question marks, like, I got to be consistent across the board. I can't keep picking the Chargers to finish in second place in this division.
Well, I am.
I get it, because I was about to.
The Chargers are 10-7.
10-7?
That's their ceiling, but I could see a 9-8.
They can start
I think Harbaugh is going to turn around Herbert like he turned around Alex Smith's career.
Ooh.
Let's never forget about Alex Smith was a floundering quarterback.
Right.
Floundering. People were ready to get rid of him. He turned around and kept him. And look what he did with him. He took him to the NFC Championship game. Then the following year, we got the whole – no, was it the following year or was it 2000? Yeah, it was. The following year, Alex got hurt, and then Kaepernick took over.
Yes. Yep.
Look what happened to Kaepernick after Harbaugh left. It goes to show you that he is a great coach of the quarterback position. So I firmly believe that he will have Justin Herbert playing his best football. Are they ready to take over the Chiefs? Hell no. But there are still other parts of this team that I do concern myself. The defense, as named, famed, and boasted as they are, tend to get hurt a lot.
Yes.
In the AFC, you can't do that. So I know I said 10-7. I would not be surprised to see them at 9-8. What I worry about wide receiver position-wise is there's no clear-cut one. Quentin Johnson, like, dude.
He ain't even the 2 or the 3. You can take him out of the equation.
Get your confidence up, bro. You had a great college career. Like, come on, believe in yourself, and you'll be fine.
He doesn't understand the system that he's in. He's lost in the sauce. He's losing rank every single day. The rookie's coming in and taking his spot. Josh Palmer, at 25 years old at this point, is more seasoned than Quentin Johnson.
And I like Palmer.
I like Palmer too. I like their receivers. I like the team for fantasy. From a fantasy perspective, I love them actually.
Lad McConkey, DJ Shark is a sneaky pickup for them. He can still be that deep threat that is fast.
Yeah.
You know, the running back, I'm going to go out on a limb. If J.K. Dobbins stays healthy, J.K. Dobbins will have over 1,000 yards rushing.
Comeback year for J.K.?
J.K. Dobbins, when healthy, is averaging 5 yards a carry. And Gus Bus is there. So it's the tag team's there. The tag team with Gus Bus and J.K. are there. The two of them stay healthy, you'll never even remember about poor little old Austin Eckler.
That's tough. Asking two injury-prone players to stay healthy, and they're together again, reunited, and it feels so good.
So I think this team might be really good this year. I could see 10-7, 9-8. I see that.
10-7, 9-8, and for Kansas City,
I got them going 12-5. They're pretty much the same record from last year.
Class of the AFC, potentially.
I
could see 12-5.
I'm not going to go on a limb and say 13-4.
Nah.
Because the AFC is a tough conference and they're only getting better.
And we know that Andy Reid and the Chiefs, they're notoriously slow in September and October. Working out the kinks. It wasn't a pretty product.
The NFL wasn't playing with them with Baltimore and Atlanta. Baltimore and Cincinnati start weeks 1 and 2.
Everyone you mentioned, it's if they can stay healthy. Yeah, you can put the questionable tag across the board on the entire roster. You already got the franchise quarterback who, Easton Stick is going to be the starter throughout the preseason. And depending on how long this lingers, he might end up being the starter when they play Vegas week 1. And that's already a big game, a big matchup between two teams that I have at 8-9 and 9-8 respectively, because
I just want to point out their defensive problems.
Kansas City.
Why I think they're going to start slow. L'Jarius Sneed is gone, ladies and gentlemen. Willie Gay, middle inside linebacker, longtime backer for them, is gone. Those are two huge key.
They got a tough September too. You look at, they got Miami, Cleveland, Buffalo, Houston.
Atlanta's not going to be an easy pushover. Kirk Cousins can go point for point with you.
Well, they're not playing Atlanta.
Yeah, they are. Kansas City.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm looking at. Okay. All right. Sorry. I was reading the wrong one. They got Baltimore, Cincinnati, Atlanta, the Chargers.
The Saints. They'll be
okay.
Saints.
So it's not that bad. It's not as bad as what the Jacksonville Jags have. I was reading the Jaguars for a week.
Then they got San Fran. They got Vegas, Tampa Bay, Denver, Buffalo, Carolina. They should easily win.
This is 12. This has got 12, maybe 13 wins.
Yeah, 12, 13 wins is there.
If Spags can get Corey Webster a ring, he can do it with whoever is in KC. I mean, I'm not betting against Kansas City this year.
I will go on a firm belief, and
I've done that already.
I don't think they're going to three-peat.
I can't wait to.
I know they're the betting and odds favorite. They're going to become the first ever.
Yeah, I might put a wager on that myself.
I don't see it.
I just want to see what the odds are for that, because it's got to be great to be in the division with all these teams that, a decade and a half later are still
Let me just remind everyone, I'm not wishing this upon anybody. They have been the most healthy team for the last 10 years.
Sorry, Royals went on a 5-run inning. Yeah, they are smoking Boston right now and hurting my potential for hopefully getting that last strikeout from Cutter Crawford, because they went on it's like 7-4 right now. The Royals and the Red Sox in a really interesting series, because they're both basically competing for that last wild card spot in the American League. So it's a big head-to-head matchup right now that's going on. Of course, we got baseball doubleheaders that had to be replayed because of the rain yesterday, as we give our breakdown and go around the NFC West and AFC West as we're on Brandon Ayuk watch. And right now, breaking down what we expect from Kansas City. The Kansas City Chiefs schedule
went 11-6 last year.
Yeah, their schedule is
So I'm
like,
giving them 12
manageable.
wins.
Like Super Bowl champs have a very manageable schedule. I could see a world where they're like 4-1 heading into their bye week in week 6, and then you got a big matchup against San Francisco in week 7. That's going to be huge, and then a little bit of a dip when you got to play Vegas, Tampa, Denver, big one in Buffalo, and then once again you got Carolina, Vegas. So they get cushion in between their big matchups, which I think is, they're pros, bro. And until somebody can prove that they can come in, step up to the plate, and beat Kansas City at their game, Kansas City is going to continue, being the monster under everybody's bed in the AFC. Somebody has to get up, put on their big boy pants from the AFC side, go into Kansas City. It ain't going to be at home. It's going to be in Kansas City because they're potentially going to win the AFC again. And you're going to have to punch Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in the mouth in Kansas City to cash your ticket to the Super Bowl. That's the sweetest way that you could possibly cash a ticket to the Super Bowl, is by handing the defending champions the loss in Kansas City. That's the only way it's going to go down. Otherwise, we're talking about the Chiefs back in the AFC championship game, winning the AFC championship, and three-peating. If anybody can do a three-peat, I haven't seen one of those in a very long time. If anybody can do it, it's Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. We know, based off the analysis that we got here tonight, nobody in this division is going to be the reason they can't do it. So we're relying on the outside help, somebody from the East, a representative from the North. Is Houston ready to take on that task? Are they that damn good? To win, not only win the South, but take their talents into Kansas City and punch Patrick Mahomes in the mouth and cash in on a first ever Super Bowl appearance for the Houston Texans. If they three-peat, best football dynasty. That's a conversation that could be had on this podcast. They are, when you think about how long teams stick together in the modern era of the NFL, yes, they are the number one modern era dynasty in football. Nobody else is winning at that level. Rams got one in recent history. But they haven't done enough to where you could say that's a dynasty. Like, the Chiefs are that for this modern era. Like, that's what we're watching right now. They're in the midst of it. They're in their prime. I don't think Travis Kelce's in their prime, but Patrick Mahomes damn sure is.
What is it, 3 and 5 years they've done?
Yeah. So we don't see this often. I don't know when we're going to see it again. In basketball, every year it's a new face at the top.
It would be 4 and 6 if they three-peat.
And
the Steelers did it 4 or 6, but they didn't three-peat. They won 2. They won 2, missed 2, then won 2 in the 70s.
No football team
Patriots
has
have done.
The Patriots did it twice, right?
No, the Patriots did 3 out of 4 and 3 out of 4.
So they didn't three-peat either.
No teams ever. No team has gotten to that point. It's a lot of pressure, too.
It is. But there's a lot of pressure on these other teams that know they have to beat Kansas City. To be the man, you have to beat the man. Like, Kansas City went and beat Buffalo and Baltimore last year.
I'm not saying they can't do it. I just don't think they'll. I think someone upsets them, like a Joe Burrow or somebody in the playoffs.
I have had my fair share.
A team like Joe Burrow, Burrow's done it. You know what I mean?
He's the only one to be able to say that he's done it. It's like the whole Eric Bischoff thing, where it's like there's only one guy that was able to beat you at your own game, and it's been Joey B in recent history. We're still waiting for Josh Allen to do it. A lot of people projected him to beat Pat Mahomes.
He's never going to do it
until you actually and after last year.
And Lamar Jackson upset everybody because he beat them, but then he lost it. Like,
they're in the same. They're swimming in the same pool right now, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, when it comes to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are that team that they
unless it's an NFC team.
San Francisco, Detroit Lions.
I can see Lions doing it. Who's to say why not?
Like who's going to be
offensively? Defensively?
Man, they are.
They're loaded on both sides of the ball.
That's a 12-win football team right there, bro. That's a 12. They can clean up some of the mistakes they made late last year. Like,
they should have been in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They should have been in the Super Bowl. My prediction should have came true.
5 straight years hosting the AFC Championship, went 6 straight. Them boys got to come
I could see the Detroit Lions winning the Super Bowl this year.
Lions got all the pieces to do it. They do.
Especially if they get home field. Every game in a dome, you ain't got to go outside and play. And if you get to the Super Bowl, guess what? The Super Bowl's in a dome too.
Imagine an NFC title game. Matt Stafford going up against Jared Goff. Matt Stafford going up against
You had
the
it,
Lions.
and Jared Goff beat him. First round of the playoffs.
He did. Them Lions are for real, bro.
They beat the Bucs in the second round. They should have beat the 49ers.
They had him dead to rights.
He should have took the field goals. And that last touchdown they scored would have been the go-ahead touchdown.
That's my early.
But that's something for him to learn, and that's why I think he'll, as a coach, he's going to learn. That team is loaded, man. Loaded.
Yeah.
2 great running backs, an amazing tight end. They are built similar to the Kansas City Chiefs. The only difference is they don't got Pat Mahomes.
They have a better.
However,
they have a better tight end at this point.
However, Jared Goff doesn't have to be Pat Mahomes for them to win.
Because they got an Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is something that right now Kansas City does not have. You know?
And it looks like Jameson Williams is finally getting it together.
And if the defense can perform to their potential, yeah, this is 12, 13 wins. And we're potentially having a...
Listen, Packers fans, get used to it.
Like, we're talking about the NFC running through Detroit, which would be... crazy. Goff has the better tight end and the better wide receiver.
He has
he may not be better than Pat Mahomes, but he's got better options than Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, across the board, I would even take the Detroit Lions defense over Kansas City because Ladarius Sneed didn't allow a single touchdown last year, and Kansas City's defense was a big part of why Kansas City was able to win some of those ugly football games when the offense wasn't doing it. I don't know if that same defense is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be the same story for them this year. Luckily, they got a manageable schedule. We'll get into Detroit's schedule when we're breaking down both the North divisions.
And Chris Jones just turned 30 years old.
Yeah. Do you think we travel to the North for next week's podcast, or do we save the North?
Doesn't matter. We can go north, south. We're saving the East for last. So everybody, just to let you know, don't get your hopes up. The East will be last.
We can talk the South next week if you want to. What do you guys think we should do? Which division do you guys think we should break down on the pod next week? Inquiring minds want to know. But, it's still Brandon Ayuk watch. He has not been traded as we are coming to the conclusion of another podcast here tonight. A lot of questions with a lot of these teams. Some teams that I feel really good about, like the Los Angeles Rams. The North is more interesting in my opinion. All right, so we'll do North. Next week, we'll do NFC North, AFC North. We'll break down everything going on. Hell, Brandon Ayuk could potentially be part of those conversations next week, depending on what happens this week. We can talk about the Bengals situation and them losing their OC and him becoming our head coach and how that's going to impact the product on the field. Losing Tyler Boyd, losing Awuzie on the defensive side. Having to compete in a division where for some reason or another, Cincinnati can't win division games. Like, it's weird. They get beat up by the Browns. They lose to the Ravens. They lose to the Steelers. They can take it to the Chiefs on a good day, but it's like they can't make it out of their own division. And if you're not able to do that, you're not going to get that shot at Kansas City in Kansas City.
I agree.
Deshaun Watson, does he look any better than what he looked like last year with the football team?
When do we start comparing Lamar Jackson to Dak Prescott playoff-wise?
It's coming.
It's a legit...
Well, wait, who has more playoff wins? Is it Lamar now? Does he have 2?
I know the other one got 2, too.
It's 2-2. 2 apiece. Ryan Tannehill has 2 playoff wins. All right, so there you go. You're all swimming in the same pool together. Congratulations.
Oof.
Nonetheless, though, a lot of questions. Can Baltimore? It took a lot to take that division last year. Did they blow their load last year with what they did and coming up short against Kansas City? Pittsburgh, is the Ayuk move the move that puts them over the top where you stop looking at them as another year of Pittsburgh getting a wild card and getting their brains beat in by the 2 seed? Or is this the year where Pittsburgh can take the North back and avoid a messy matchup with the number 2 seed and put themselves in a favorable position at the 3 or the 4 seed going up against, who knows?
You might be the only one on that boat, Chris.
I think Watson has a bounce back year. Nick Chubb is already squatting 1,000 pounds. I don't even know if Nick Chubb's going to be playing week 1 though. He's a freak of nature, no doubt about it. Like I'm a big Nick Chubb fan. Like when he broke his leg last year, that sucked.
It did. I won't lie about that.
Got no clue who their running back is going to be. I like the defense. I don't like the quarterback. There's a few things I like from the Browns, but it's like the Chargers, I guess, where it's just like I can't trust this football team. I'm not going to put my eggs in that basket again. Like I don't. There's nothing that has shown me.
You were buying high in the Browns a couple of years back.
Because I liked how they were putting things together. They had their playoff win, like they had adults in the room. Oh, Jackson Merrill just got you a bomb. I saw it. I saw the notification right there. Good pickup. Jackson Merrill just got a bomb. If any year was to beat us, it was last year. The offense just got better, and you gave Mahomes speed, and defense stayed together besides Snead. This team overall got
3 runs, 2 home runs, and 3 RBIs today.
Merrill
4 for 5.
Jackson Merrill got 2 home runs.
This could get me back into the playoffs, mix.
Yeah. It's your push. It's your push for Sandlot Baseball Association. We only got a month left. We only got a month left.
I didn't get my push.
Yeah. You had it.
They just slumped. All of them slumped at the wrong time.
You had it. And now you're trying to keep yourself alive.
If any year was to beat us, it was last year.
Yeah, that's the one that I just read from him. And I could agree with that, man, because last year they looked more vulnerable than they looked in a long, long time. Now they had another Super Bowl win under their belt, more confidence, more of knowing that, hey, we can jog to November and we'll still be okay. We don't need the number 1 seed to go to your house and take it from you.
That is true. Listen,
they don't need to be the 1 seed.
Could I see them raising the Lombardi at the end of the year? Yes. But a part of me also feels like the NFL doesn't want that. And I hate to say this, because why would they give it to let Brady get it?
There's teams that need home field advantage and still may not be able to get it done with home field. Tell Bryce to stop whiffing at meatballs. Yeah, Bryce getting his shit together would be a major difference for the lineup that you have right now.
You see, I changed my name and everything.
With Judge producing, your new
Bryce
pickup, getting yourself
bombers.
2 home runs.
You saw the photo I used too?
No, I didn't
it's
see the
him
photo
like this.
change. I didn't see the photo change. But hopefully that's the wake-up call that your baseball team needs so that you can turn this shit around, dude. Sometimes it starts with a name change and you go from there. We got a couple weeks left in the Sandlot Baseball Association. We'll be keeping tabs on the playoff race in that league. I'm about to completely fall apart in my other baseball league. I don't even think I'm going to end in the 5 seed once again, and there's only 4 seeds for the playoffs in that league. So I'm looking like I'm going to be on the outside looking in, wishing that I could get into the playoffs in that league. Yeah, 8 teams, 4 playoff spots.
Terrell's in the playoffs?
Yeah, he's a 4 seed right now. He's a 4. He won that league last year. He's a 4 seed this year. I got my ass beat last week, 11-1. So I beat.
Was there a payout for that?
No, just free Yahoo League. So yeah, man, we got baseball, we've got football going on. I just think sports injuries aren't as devastating as the past. These guys are indestructible. I think they get hurt more now with the more technology that we have as far as advancements goes. Like these guys are, especially with baseball, you got these guys getting pulled for nothing. Back tightness, exhaustion. But don't worry, Oscar. My pitcher gave me a 38 ERA today. Is that who you're playing today?
No.
You're playing Chris? Oh.
Playing Seth.
Okay.
And I'm only beating him by 1. That's how bad I'm struggling.
Yeah, you need to take advantage of that because that's going to be your key to be able to, if you want to start to get on a run and have your push, it starts with handling business in matchups like that. So you gotta get your shit together there, oh money. That's your opportunity right there. Ain't many opportunities like that left.
I know. Oh, I know.
Oh man, Cutter Crawford, you're a scumbag. Basically, Cutter Crawford, you are a scumbag. That's all I have to say about that. But yeah, next week on this podcast, we will be breaking down the North. We will be talking AFC North. We will be talking NFC North. We have several contenders in there. We'll find out who the pretenders are. Strong pushes, the guys that can narrowly escape the basement, but not enough to get themselves into the playoffs. We'll be talking about the Packers situation and the $55 million a year man, none other than Jordan Love. Talking about the Vikings, what they could potentially look like, the new look Cincinnati Bengals and what they're going to be looking like. And
yep.
A lot of moving components, and an episode that is got a lot of fantasy implications involved in it. We got a lot of who's who as far as some of the first round picks that are going to be going in your fantasy leagues in the next couple of weeks with the Jamar Chases and the Amon-Ra St. Browns and the Justin Jeffersons of the world, the Jahmyr Gibbs, like Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. Like there's a lot of Joe Burrow. Like it's a lot of fantasy implications when it comes to the North on both sides. And it's definitely going to be an interesting breakdown, like Chris was saying earlier, because once again, we're talking about two divisions that can send multiple teams to the postseason this year. And they usually do. They did last year. So
sent 3. There's potential for 4.
And the North, the NFC North sent the Detroit and Packers.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bears. We're gonna break down the Bears. We're gonna discuss how we truly feel about the Bears, our final assessment on the Chicago Bears with all the changes they've got going on, and once again go down that wormhole of the decisions that this football team has made the last couple of years, and that's led them to where they are right now. You want to talk about buying time? Like nobody does it better than Chicago. And since 1985, they've been buying time. It's safe to say.
I agree.
But credit to their fan base, because one thing I know about Chicago is that city loves the Bears no matter what's happening. They ain't going to see the White Sox no more. They love the Cubbies, but they love their Bears even more. They take priority no matter how good or bad they are.
Caleb Williams is primed. He should have a good year with all those weapons surrounding him.
Yeah.
Should.
Yeah. This is the portion of the season where we're looking through all this and we're looking at the stats and the projections and the rankings. And this is that month where it just all gets blown completely out of proportion leading up to showcase time in September. You got to get the product on the field. So whatever you had going on in training camp, whatever you felt good about, whatever highlight packages you had going on, getting one-handed catches against one of your fellow DBs in training camp, it's all good. September's around the corner. And we know that for a lot of these football teams, hell, you don't even know who they are until week 11. Look at last year, how long we waited. There was a lot of shitty football last year. Let's not underestimate the potential for a lot of terrible football again this year.
First month of the season. Always terrible.
You're just hoping that you get out of there with a few wins, a few ugly wins.
You want to be over 500 or at 500?
We got football tomorrow. You're absolutely right. I don't exactly know who plays tomorrow.
I know the Eagles
still in baseball mode, but it's going to be a first look at some of the potential taxi squad players that you have in Dynasty football. Got my first draft coming up August the 18th. I am the 10th pick. I am also the 10th pick in Noli's East Coast Champs League. So I've got the back-to-back turn. I get to see for my first couple of drafts of the new season, the first round play out and see what I may or may not want to do.
The Eagles play Friday. It's Giants, Lions, and Panthers, Patriots tomorrow.
Giants, Lions, Panthers, Patriots. So I know all of our, Giants friends are excited to see some Giants football. Patriots are probably looking at this as the opportunity to see what they can do as far as their quarterbacks. You got Milton, you've got May, young team, young wide receivers.
Uh-huh.
a lot of the guys that you see playing for the Patriots in the preseason are going to be guys that you're going to see playing for them during the regular season, because that's just where they are right now. Super young football team, new coaches, new regime, and nobody's going to blame the Patriots for having a bad year, knowing that there's so much they need to figure out, 1 year from Bill Belichick leaving the room.
And we'll talk more about them in a couple weeks.
And having to follow that up and living in the shadow of the success of the 20 years that's tough.
It is.
They're back to being the Patriots logo where he's holding the football like on the ground. Like that's what I see when I look at them, but there's potential there. There's talent there. I like some of their wide receivers. I have Boutier is his name, Kevin Boutier. I have him on one of my taxi squads because you want parts. You don't know what they're going to be yet, but you know that you want to stash yourself a piece of that pie in case, in September, this team, they're moving the football.
I offered, I'll tell you all fair.
Okay. We'll talking trades, potential trades, which are going to be going down. You already know that's a part of what we do. It's a big part of the experience, Once I slowly wean myself off of baseball mode, which I've been in all summer long, I'll start to look around and try to reconvene with some of the conversations where I closed the book on back in June with some of the trade offers and everything going on in Dynasty. But I've been all about baseball right now, man. It's a good race that's happening right now. There's potential for like 4 or 5 teams to next week say that they have the best record in baseball, because there's yet to be any separation from anyone. Nobody's separated from anybody when it comes to the top teams in baseball. And this is the stretch run right here to see like who's going to be able to get those wild card spots. You got Chris, who's big time Royals fan. They're fighting for their hopes and dreams right now, trying to get that last spot. But so are the Red Sox, so are the Mets, so are the Braves. Like nothing's finalized right now, man. Nothing in this sport, and certainly nothing in baseball. So we're gonna give you the up to the minute updates that we can. Looking forward to next week's pod already. 1 week closer to draft season. On the Money Sports Round 1 draft is going to be recorded so that you can see the decisions made. Mookie comes back next week. Thank God. Need him for my playoff push. Yeah, and that's with already losing Trout, so that can't be easy. Right now, you're in the same boat as this guy where you're just trying to get back into that top 6 and hope for one of those other guys to have a terrible week. Little Jimmy, one of those guys, And, Rob Rose, our own Rose, sneaky man right now. He's the 3 seed. The 3 seed that, spent the whole year at the 8 spot and just got his team healthy at the right time, made the pickups, and he's got a hell of a pitching staff that he's put together in the fantasy baseball league.
We'll see.
So next week, Brandon Ayuk could be a Steeler. Who knows?
Ayuk watch.
Ayuk watch doesn't stop. On the Money Sports doesn't stop.
Grandma's not coming out of the cage until he's traded.
Excited to hit up NY, most likely in some of the garments that I'm wearing right now, to hopefully in a situation where the Yankees can close out this Angel series and move on, because we've got a tough stretch coming. Not very many days off. So the bullpen's going to be getting some work, and our bats better be ready to hit. So
till then, I hope you guys have a great week ahead. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your
thank you for your contributions.
Enjoy your weekend,
tonight,
and do not forget to check out our interview with Jose, the Real Hitman Soto.
Check it out.
That is on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. Make sure if you can, tickets are still available for August 16th in Atlantic City. Until then, I am O Money. That is Irrational. We are out, and see you next.